And we're recording. And y'all, what we're going to do is we're going to go through 5.2 and 5.3 today, okay? So y'all, 5.2 talks about how to measure area and volume. Yeah, so y'all, I got the notes right up here in case you need one. All right, so in 5.2, y'all, we're talking about measuring area. And it says, in order to measure a region that is enclosed by boundaries, we begin by selecting what we call a square unit. So y'all, a square unit in general looks something like this. And sometimes we use like square inches. Sometimes we use square centimeters. If you go out into the hallway and you look at the floor and it's tile, that's measured in square feet. If you look here in our classroom and you look at the floor, it's in carpet. When you buy carpet, y'all, if you go to like Frank's carpet, cleaners or whatever, they sell carpet in square yards, but everything is going to be in square units, okay? And so what we're going to do is we're going to try to find the area of this figure. Okay, so y'all, we're going to keep this real easy breezy, cover girl. All we got to do is count how many squares we have right there. So I'm going to start counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so we have 12 square units. Another way we write it, y'all, looks like this. 12 units, boom, squared. And the easiest way I can explain this to y'all is if I were to count from here to here, we would say, look, there's 3 marks, right? And you say, what do you mean there's 3 marks? Look, there's 1, there's 2, and there's 3. And if I were to count, say, from here to here, there should be 4 of them, right? And then all we got to do to find our area, all we got to do to find our area, y'all, is take the length times the width. Take one side 3 times the other side 4, and that gives us our 12 units squared, okay? The important thing to remember, y'all, is that when you're finding area, you're going to find 2 things. You're going to find the actual value of it, and then the second thing is going to be the units. Is it square feet? Is it square inches? Is it square yards? The idea, y'all, that area is always going to be in terms of square something. So, like for instance, if I wanted to come over here, they told me, hey Omar, in addition to teaching your math class, we need you to paint this board right here. I have to measure, okay, look, there's 1 foot, there's 2 feet, there's 3 feet, there's 4 feet, there's 5. And then I have to measure it this way. I'd say, hey, there's 6. So this thing here would be 5 times 6 would be 30 square feet, right? I couldn't just put feet because 30 feet would be like from where I'm standing to where, say, Lauren is sitting. That would be 30 feet this way. But square feet means you're talking about area. Does that make sense? Okay, so area, guys, always in square units. So let's take a look at the next problem in our list and see what we got. Okay, so y'all, for these problems again, we're going to use this idea of dimensional analysis. How do we convert from one unit to another one? Okay, and when we're in the English system or the American system, they're going to give us some information like we have here in that table. So y'all, we did problems similar to this a couple of weeks ago when we did 5.1. And so I want you to look here. We're going to try to convert 16.3. This is what we call hectares, right? Or hectare. We're going to change that to acres, okay? So y'all, this is the first thing I'm going to do. I'm going to write down what I have. So we got 16.3. I'm going to call them ha's, okay? I'm going to write this as a fraction, y'all. So I'm going to write it over 1 times. Now I'm going to multiply it by another fraction. And y'all, I want you to notice our answer, we want our answer to be in acres, okay? So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to look at this table right here, And my friends, I'm going to look to see, do any one of those rows going left and right, do any of them have acres and hectares? And we'll say, hey, look, the last one does. This one right here. If we want to end up with acres, that's what I'm going to put on the top. So I'm going to put 1 acre in the top. We have hectares, and that's what we want to get rid of. So I'm going to put 0.4 ha's down here, okay? Now, y'all, all we're going to do now, we're going to multiply straight across. Before we multiply straight across, those units of ha's are going to go away, okay? Look, we're going to take 16.3 times 1. That's going to give me 16.3, okay, over, let's see, 1 times 0.4 is going to give me 0.4. And then, y'all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take my calculator and I'm going to divide that out. So I'm going to take my calculator here. Let me clear this. The number I have on top, 16.3. The number I have on the bottom, 0.4. We're going to divide it, and I'm coming up with 40.75. And those are in acres because the acres just kind of transferred over there, okay? That's all we got to do. Okay, so when we're doing in the American system, y'all, or in the English system, we're going to be using whatever information they give us here, okay? So now, let's see if we can figure out, oh, and look, they asked me to round to the nearest hundredth. So y'all, hundredth means 2 decimal places. That's exactly what we got, right? So we're going to leave it alone. All right, now let's see if we can convert in the metric system. So I'm going to keep scrolling down. Let's see, here we go. We're going to look for volume. Okay, so we want to find the volume of this picture that we got here. So y'all, we got a picture here. Let's see if we can find the volume, and then we'll kind of do the same sort of thing. So y'all, I'm going to kind of look at this picture here, and I'm going to say, look, let's see, we want to count how many cubes we have. So look, y'all, there's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Going up, there's 1 and there's 2. And then coming on this side, y'all, we got 1, 2, and 3. So the way we're going to find the volume, y'all, we're going to take the length times the width times the height. Now, because I'm multiplying here, y'all, which numbers I multiply and in what order doesn't really make any difference, okay? So look, I'm going to call this the length. I'm going to call that the width. We're going to call that the height. So there's 3 on the length. There's 3 on the width. And there's 2 on the height. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 9 times 2 is 18. Y'all, the important thing to remember with volume is that it's cubic units or units cubed. We can write it like this. Volume is talking about how much space it's going to take up, right? All right, so y'all, I'm going to scroll down a little further, and let's see if we can figure out how we can do this next problem here. And it says, use the table along with dimensional analysis to convert the given unit to the unit indicated. So we have 28 cubic centimeters, and we want to convert that to milliliters. So y'all, again, the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to write 28 cubic centimeters. So I'm going to write that over 1, and I'm going to multiply it by a fraction. And my answer is going to be in milliliters, okay? So the first thing I'm going to try to do, y'all, I'm going to look and I'm going to say, hey, do we have anything that gives me the relationship between cubic centimeters and milliliters? Look, that top one right there, okay? That top one has cubic centimeters to milliliters. So y'all, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, look, what do we have? We have cubic centimeters. We want to end up with milliliters. So I'm going to put my milliliters on the top, 1 milliliter on the top, and I'm going to put my 1 cubic centimeter on the bottom, okay? Then all I'm going to do, my friends, is cross out my cubic centimeters. I'm going to go straight across. 28 times 1, 28. 1 times 1 is still 1. And 28 divided by 1, y'all, is just 28 milliliters. And we did our conversion, okay? So, y'all, when I'm trying to do this here, what I'm looking at is whatever units I have to begin with, those are the units I'm going to write on the bottom. Whatever units I want to end up with, those are the units that I'm going to write on the top of that fraction, okay? So look, let's see if we can do another one. Let's scroll down here and let's take a look at this one here. It says 25 liters to cubic centimeters. Okay, or 2.5 liters, I'm sorry. So look, y'all, I'm going to go like this. 2.5 liters over 1 times some fraction is going to be equal to my answer in cubic centimeters, okay? So y'all, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, do I have any kind of relationship between liters and cubic centimeters? Right here, take a look. 1,000 cubic centimeters is the same thing as 1 liter. So look, y'all, if we have liters on the top, we want to put our 1 liter on the bottom. And if we want to end up with cubic centimeters, that's the unit we're going to put upstairs, okay? So now, my friends, I'm going to come back over here. These liter units are going to cancel. And I'm going to take my calculator. I'm going to ask myself, what's 2.5 times 1,000? Okay, 2.5 times 1,000, 2,500. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here and we're going to put, 2,500. 1 times 1 is still 1. And when we divide that out, 2,500 divided by 1 is still 2,500. Boom. And we're done. Okay. All right. Y'all, I'm going to keep scrolling down. And let's see what else we got here. Okay, so here's another one. We're going to go from 140 milliliters to cubic centimeters. Okay, let's see if we can't figure this one out. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to write 140 milliliters over 1 times some fraction is going to give me our answer, and we want this to be in cubic centimeters. So again, y'all, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look to see, do we have any relationship between milliliters and centimeters cubed? Right here at the top. There's cubic centimeters and milliliters in the same line, okay? So look, y'all, because we have milliliters on the top, that's what we're going to put on the bottom. Because we want to end up with cubic centimeters, that's what we're going to put on the top, okay? And now, y'all, milliliters and milliliters are going to cancel out. 140 times 1, still 140. 1 times 1 is still 1, and if you divide that out, you still get 140, right? All right, so let's keep moving along here, and let's see what else we got. All right, that was 5.2. Like I said, easy breezy cover girl, right? So look, let's see if we can do 5.3, y'all. 5.3 talks about measuring weight and temperature. It says you step on the scale to the doc's office to check your weight, and you find out you're 150 pounds. Compare this to your weight on the moon, okay? 25 pounds. What's the difference? Well, the weight is a measure of the gravitational pull on an object, and the gravitational pull on Earth, on the moon, is only about 1/6 of the gravitational pull on Earth. Although our weight varies depending on the force of gravity, your mass is exactly the same in all locations. So mass is a measure of the quantity of matter in an object, determined by its molecular structure. On Earth, our weight increases, so does our mass. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about mass and weight. And we have a couple of things here, y'all. So units of weight, 16 ounces is a pound, 2,000 pounds is 1 ton. Okay. And it says the basic metric unit of weight is the gram, used for very small objects like a coin or a candy bar or a teaspoon of salt. A nickel has a weight of about 5 grams. And meters, prefixes are used to denote multiple or part of a gram. So we'll talk about things like kilograms, hectograms, decagrams, grams, decigrams, centigrams, milligrams. So y'all, most of us probably see milligrams pretty frequently. If you have a headache and you take ibuprofen or acetaminophen or Tylenol or aspirin or whatever, something like that, okay? All right, so let's take a look and let's see if we can figure this thing out. So y'all, what we're gonna do here is we're gonna talk about, again, how do we change in the metric system? Y'all, changing in the metric system is really, really easy to do. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at my problem, and we have 6.2 decigrams, and we want to convert that to milligrams. So y'all, I want you to notice, I'm going to look at this box right here, okay? And I want you to notice where we are. We're in decigrams. So here's decigrams. We're right here, and we want to get to milligrams. So y'all, all I'm going to do is I'm going to count 1, 2. We moved 2 spaces to the right. So my friends, I'm going to take my decimal point right here, and I'm going to move it 2 spaces to the right. Look, there's 1, there's 2. Now, if I put it over here, what number do you think I got to add there, y'all? Anyone know? Somebody said it. Anybody know? What number can we add and it doesn't change a whole lot? Anybody know? What's a number you can add and it doesn't change that much? 0. Boom. There you go. That's all you got to do. Okay. So I'm going to look to see where I am and where I'm trying to get to. Okay. Look, y'all, let's try another one. We're going to go from kilograms to grams. Okay. So again, y'all, I'm going to write out my problem. We got 38.1 kilograms, and we want to convert that to grams. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, y'all, I'm going to come back here so I can make sure I got this thing up on my screen. Okay. And we're right now at kilograms, and we want to get to grams. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3. We went 3 spaces to the right. So y'all look, 38.1. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So again, the numbers that I got to add here, y'all, are zeros. So we now have 38,100. Remember, y'all, there's no more decimal right here, right? It went 1, 2, 3. And you got to put those zeros right there. Okay. All right, let's keep moving along. And let's see if we can't figure out this next one. So first thing I'm going to do, y'all, I'm going to look at my problem, and we have 0.9 cubic meters, and we're going to try to convert that to kilograms. Okay, so y'all, what I need to find is I need to see in any one of those rows, do we have anything that talks about cubic meters and kilograms? And if I look right here, y'all, look, cubic meters and kilograms. So the first thing I'm going to do, 0.09 cubic meters over 1 times some fraction is going to give us our answer, and we want our answer, my friends, in kilograms. Okay, so whatever units I have on the top, I need to put those on the bottom. So check it out. Look, 1 cubic meter. 1 cubic meter is the same thing as 1,000 kilograms, okay? Again, y'all, the reason I'm doing that is I'm going to cancel out my cubic meters, and I'm going to multiply straight across, okay? So I'm going to take my calculator again, y'all. Let me clear this out. I'm going to take 0.09 times 1,000, 1, 2, 3, okay, equals 90. So that gave me, boom, a 90. 1 times 1 is 1, and 90 divided by 1, y'all, is still 90. So there's my answer, okay? So, y'all, the part that's really important here is to figure out what number goes on top and what number goes on the bottom. Again, the easiest way for me to think about it, y'all, or the easiest way for me to explain it, whatever units you have here goes right there, right? And whatever units you want to end up with needs to be the units that you put on the top, okay? All right, let's try another one here. Okay, so let's take a look. We got 2.8 kilograms, and we want to convert that to cubic centimeters. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do, y'all, I'm going to look, and I'm going to say, do we have anything here that talks about kilograms and cubic centimeters? Boom, right here, the second row. Check this out. Kilograms and cubic centimeters. Okay, so I'm going to write 2.8 kilograms over 1 times some fraction, and that's going to be equal to our answer in cubic centimeters. All right, so look, y'all, we got kilograms on the top. We want to put kilograms on the bottom. We want to end up with cubic centimeters. We're going to put cubic centimeters upstairs, okay? All right, so again, y'all, I'm going to come back here, and I'm going to say, look, my kilograms in the top, my kilograms in the bottom are going to go away. Let's see what we're going to get in terms when we start to multiply. So I'm going to take 2.8 times 1,000. Okay, so 2.8 times 1,000, 1, 2, 3, 2,800. Okay, so I got 2,800. And 1 times 1 is still 1. And 2,800 divided by 1, y'all, boom, is still 2,800. Okay. And we got it. Okay. All right. So, y'all, for the next part, we're now going to talk a little bit about temperature and how do we convert in temperature. So, y'all, if you, when you get home this afternoon, and hopefully there's, a pot of carne asada on the stove, and maybe your parents are watching the news, and you see Tim Smith, and he's saying, "Hey guys, it's hot. We hit a high of 97 degrees today." He's talking about the temperature in Fahrenheit, right? But if you change the channel and you put it on the noticias, and they're talking about the weather, anybody know how they describe the weather in Mexico? What units do they use? Anyone know? No? Nobody's, everybody been to Mexico? Yeah? Okay. So in Mexico, y'all, if you turn on the noticias, they talk about the weather in degrees Celsius. Okay. So they mean the same thing. They're just measured in two different ways. Okay. So y'all, what we're going to do here is we're going to figure out how do we do conversions. So it says convert the given Celsius temperature to the equivalent temperature on the Fahrenheit scale. And they give me two formulas, and we're going to have to figure out which is the formula that we're going to use. Okay, so y'all, the way I'm going to figure this out, I'm going to use one of two formulas. I'm either going to use this formula here, or I'm going to use that formula there. Okay. The way I know which formula I'm going to use is I'm going to look at the problem that's given to us. We have the temperature, we have it in Celsius. And you say, how do you know it's in Celsius? Because the letter C is right there. So we have it in Celsius. We're going to convert it to Fahrenheit. Okay. So y'all, I'm going to use this one here. This formula will tell me how to convert it to Fahrenheit if we have it in Celsius. So look, y'all, I'm going to write F equals 9/5. Now, Where my letter C used to be, look at what the number C is now, y'all. The number C is the number 20. So I'm going to put that 20, y'all. I'm going to write that 20 as 20 over 1. Okay. What else do I still have after that? Oh, man, I still got a 32. Okay. Now, remember, y'all, the way we multiply fractions, we just go straight across. So look, 9 times 20 is 180. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 32. Okay. Y'all, I'm going to take my calculator again, and I'm going to ask myself, what's 180 divided by 5? 36. Okay. So right here, y'all, right here, we got a 36. And 36 plus 32, y'all, should be something like 68. And that's in degrees Fahrenheit. So when somebody says, hey, what's colder, 20 degrees Celsius or 68 degrees Fahrenheit, you say they're exactly the same, except one is measured in one unit and one is measured in another. Okay. But they mean the same thing. Okay. Look, let's try another one and let's see if we can't figure it out. So y'all, I got another problem here, and it says, can we convert the given Celsius temperature to its equivalent temperature in degrees Fahrenheit? Okay, so again, first thing I'm going to do, y'all, I'm going to look at this part right here. We have the temperature, my friends, in the degrees Celsius, so we want it to convert it to Fahrenheit, okay? So again, y'all, we're going to use the same formula. We're going to use this guy right here, okay? So look, I'm going to write F equals 9 over 5. Now, the number we're going to plug in, y'all, is 59. I'm going to write that 59, y'all, as 59 over 1, okay? Why over 1? Because I'm multiplying fractions. So look, let me take my calculator. What is 9 times 59? I don't know. 531. 5 times 1 I know is 5 plus 32. Okay. And one more time, y'all, I'm going to take my calculator. I'm going to say, look, what's 531 divided by 5? 106.2 plus 32 should be something like 138.2. And that's my temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. So if somebody says, hey, 59 degrees Celsius, is that hot or is that cold? Right? And if we're not real comfortable with Celsius temperature because we don't go across the border all that much, we could convert it to Fahrenheit. We could convert it to Fahrenheit. We'd say that's 138 degrees Fahrenheit. Man, that's hot. Right? That's hot. Okay. So y'all, now we have another one, and we want to convert this one in Fahrenheit to Celsius. So y'all, I'm going to scroll back up a little bit because I'm going to use this formula. Okay, so I'm just going to write that down here. C equals 5 over 9. Okay, C equals 5 over 9, and then in parentheses, F minus 32. Okay, y'all, this is what we use to convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit. So what I'm going to do here, my friends, is I'm going to take this temperature for Fahrenheit, and I'm going to plug that number in right there. Okay, so let's see. C equals 5 over 9. Now we're going to plug in 37 minus 32. Y'all, do you remember when we did the order of operations? What are we supposed to do first? Anybody remember? Order of operations. What is the first letter in order of operations? Anyone remember? Parentheses. Okay, what's 37 minus 32? Anyone know? Should be 5. Look, y'all, I'm going to write that as 5 over 1. Okay. Now I'm going to go straight across. 5 times 5? 25. 1 times 9 is 9. Okay. Let's take our calculator. What's 25 divided by 9? Okay. 2 point with a whole bunch of sevens, right? Y'all, look what they're asking me to do. They're asking me to round it to the nearest tenth. So if I come up with 2 with a bunch of 7s, the nearest tenth, y'all, means we want to write 1 decimal place. What do y'all think? 2.7 or 2.8? Anyone know? 2.8. Boom. And there we go. Right? Okay. So y'all, I got one more down here to do. And we're going to figure out again when the temperature is 23 degrees below in Fahrenheit, what is the temperature in Celsius? Okay. So look, y'all, first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look at this guy right here and I'm going to say, look, this is the one we want to use because we want to find the temperature in Celsius. Okay. So look, y'all, C equals 5/9 F minus 32. Okay, 5/9. Boom. They gave me the temperature in Fahrenheit. Negative 23 minus 32. Y'all, just like y'all told me right now, we got to do what's on the inside of those parentheses. So check it out. Look, I'm going to take my calculator right here, clear it out. 23, oh, but it's a negative 23. There it is. Minus the number 32, negative 55. Okay. So look, y'all, I'm going to come back here and go C equals 5/9 negative 55. Y'all, I'm going to think about that as negative 55/1. Okay. And now I'm going to multiply. So I'm going to take my calculator again. Times 5. Negative 275. 9 times 1, y'all, is 9. So now let's just divide this guy by 9. And I'm coming up with negative 30 point and a whole bunch of 5s. Okay. And let's take a look. Again, y'all, right here, they are asking us to round that to the nearest tenth. So what do you guys think? Negative 30.5 or negative 30.6? Anyone? 0.6, right? Boom. That's the one that we're going with. Okay. All right. So y'all, notice we finished chapter 5 today, right? So we did 5.1 a couple of weeks ago. Again, y'all, I extended the homework deadline date for 5.1 until Wednesday. Y'all, like I said, let me stop recording this. Stop it.